And hey everyone, welcome to another amazing stream. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by Gustavo, aka Guga. He's going to tell us about some awesome stuff today. But before we get too far, let us know if the audio is working, if the sound is good. But as we wait to hear some of your comments, Gustavo, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. And before we start, can you tell us about what you do, what company you work for, and what services you provide?
Okay, thank you, Paul. I'm super honored to be here as well. I'm super stoked to be talking about Remix, Strapi, and I've been developing websites for 19 years, since 2003, I guess. Um, and I've I've been to a lot of tech stacks in the past. Like I was once a WordPress developer, ActionScript developer, and now I've been working with seasoned crew, seasoned developers. Later we can send. I think we've been sharing the website. Uh, we do. We're sort of a tech agency, and we are focused on building like the most amazing UX and DX uh, with the least amount of code. So we try to build to be super fast doing our web apps, and we've been investing a lot of R&D, like trying to find the best tech stack to enable us to do that. How can we like do with a little code an amazing software? So
Yeah.
that's our main goal, basically.
No, like that's awesome. I think at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's just delivering the product that solves like business problems. And the faster you could get to the market, there's actually something said about that. And so if you choose technologies that allow you to do that, no, that's pretty awesome. So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about the project that you built, the technologies used, and the kind of brief overview why you decided to build it?
Sure. So when this project came to my hands, the client, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, the client wanted to sort of move away from WordPress and try a new stack because they are actually the investors of Remix. And the founder is like a very inspiring person. He loves open source software. He's probably the most passionate person about it that I know. And he had a few requirements, like he wanted the website to be even more flexible than WordPress, maybe, and to highlight the strengths of Remix. And he suggested me to try Strapi.
Nice.
To try to do that. And actually, when it got to my hands, I had previously heard about Strapi, but I didn't check it thoroughly, So it was my first contact with Strapi at all.
No, that's awesome. And why? I know you mentioned like it was a founder of uh, a supporter of Remix, but why do you like Remix? Like, what made you decide to choose Remix? I know you're wearing the T-shirt, so I feel a bit jealous. I should have coordinated with you. I should have at least wore a Strappy T-shirt. Missed
Yeah.
opportunity. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, it would be a great match.
Exactly.
So I've been so excited about Remix lately, pretty much excited as them, like the creators. I've been to the Remix Conf because I think everyone that has been developing websites for that many years and have been to all of the changes of the community of the field, we kind of miss the good old days, like it was so simple to build websites, to just drop a PHP file or the server side rendering stuff, which we moved away from it, and now we are moving back to it. It's actually a very simple mind model, and once we solved Remix solved all of the issues of that model, and now we can go back to thinking server-side rendering, it just makes things so simple, and you realize that in the last decade, we've been sort of inventing new technologies to solve problems that we created in the first place, Like, we have a lot of problems coming out of SPA. I've been doing SPA for years, so
Yeah.
I've seen so many troubles in the connection between the client and the server. And I think that's where that surface is where most of the bugs emerge, And so Remix comes in just solving the whole network chasm, this surface. You don't even have to think about it anymore, So yeah, that's the main reason I'm excited about Remix. But there is a lot of other stuff, like being able to develop in the way like the web was supposed to work, like submitting a form and not having to write event prevent the flow,
Yeah.
going to the MDN docs every time to figure out stuff, you kind of know that you are building a knowledge that is forever, like not gonna say forever, but it's a very you won't lose that knowledge that you're learning,
Yeah. One thing that stood out for me with Remix is not having to use state unnecessarily when you don't have to. And that was just like so good. By the way, I did want to say this. The first time I met you, when you showcased the project that you built with Strapi and Remix, like prior to that, I thought about trying Remix, but I didn't. I was just like, one day I'll get to it. But then when I saw how simple and how clean the code was in terms of how you get the data, how you display it, I literally was like, you know what? This makes perfect sense. And so I started learning Remix, and I realized there's everybody's looking, to create like some sort of development workflow that allows people to build things quickly. And I was kind of amazed how well Strapi and Remix like literally fit together so well, and how someone out there either working at marketing agencies where they're building websites, or you're a freelancer, or any project that you have, you could literally build something fairly quickly in a very streamlined way. And so like I literally started investing a lot of time into Remix. I live in Austin, Texas, so I started going to like the local Remix meetup, and I actually gave a talk not too long ago, like a really quick one, about like fetching data, because I was so inspired, and I think it's such a good combination. So definitely love to hear more. So can you tell us a little bit about the project website and what it is, and then kind of you could talk about more in detail. So give us an overview.
I think I should share my screen.
Perfect.
Let me know if it works. There we go.
All right, let me add that. Perfect. And
let
us know in the comments. Yep, you can see the screen, but let us know in the comments if the text is big enough, if you need to adjust it to make it bigger. But otherwise, let's go.
Yeah, so this is the client. So they launched the website, I believe it's been over a month ago. But I actually worked on it 3 to 4 months ago. And it was super fast to build. So OSS Capital, it's an amazing company. They invest in open source software, and that's something very... it's something that just got me hooked when I heard about that I would work on this project. And they have an amazing portfolio. They have Remix there, and also a lot of nice open source software they've been investing in. And would you like to see some code, maybe?
Before we jump into the code, so I see like the website, you have different like sections. So how did you structure that content with Strapi? Can we start there first, and then we could like jump into the code?
Awesome. So when I got the project, I got all of the screens. The design was ready. I just had to code it. And so the main requirement, one of the main requirements was that pretty much everything would be manageable by them,
nice,
by their team. And so when you get one of those requirements, the first thing I did was to go to Strapi to figure out if I could do that with Strapi. And like 10 minutes into the docs, I was like, okay, let's do it.
Nice.
Totally capable. So first, I started to recognize what would be the repeatable content, like the theme here. So you'd have like a few members. And actually, if you go to the theme page, you have two categories of members. And then portfolio, you'd have the clients, you'd have a collection of testimonials, and also news. Actually, they're not using it yet, the sort of blog we created. They've been only linking to external resources, but
Yep.
it's ready, and I believe that they're going to start to use it soon.
Nice.
Because we do have those content pages like terms and conditions. And so I started recognizing those patterns. So what is going to be repeatable content? And otherwise, I would have to create single content types. Is that how you call it?
Yeah.
To sort of to make this content editable, this one, even the titles here, or all of the CTAs, like these CTAs editable, and so on. So I realized that I could build some collection types as I outlined to you.
I'm sorry. Do you mind if we make that screen just a little bit bigger? So just look at the Strapi window bigger, I guess.
Actually,
we could just like hide the code for now. Yeah, screen. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much. And then maybe make the text a little bit bigger. I only say that because I make that mistake so many times that people like, make the screen bigger. Yeah. So it's like, that happens to the best of us.
Yeah, like my screen is pretty big, and yeah. So
no, I get you. Yeah.
Can you see it properly now?
Yeah,
I believe so, right? So those are the collection types I told you about. The pages is sort of the legal pages, like privacy policy, terms and conditions, and then I'll have the single page, single types for, like, let's say the home page, like the hero message, the banner, and I also use some components. So like in the goals section, I'm not sure we have the goals here. Yeah, the goals section, we'll have a title, content, maybe an image. It's not being used right now.
Yep.
And yeah, so I pretty much use the whole thing, like the collection types, the single types, and the components.
Nice.
I also use some plugins. Like the menu plugin, so the client is able to edit this
dynamically
menu, like this one, and that one.
Oh, that's awesome. So, like, one thing that stands out for me right out of the box, you were able to basically use the features that Strapi has to fulfill the needs, like, for your clients. So, like, I know that Strapi is very, very customizable, but like in your case, it feels like you didn't have to do much out of the box. You just were able to create the content, organize it after you identified what the repeatable components were. You broke everything down, and you literally used it out of the box. Is that the case?
Yeah, out of the box. And actually, I went to the official website. I looked for the official, not sure if I can call them official, but the plugins.
Yep.
And I just cherry picked a few of them,
nice.
to use, like the one that transforms this one, the transformer that sort of transforms the API payload, because I figure I didn't need that much information, or I could make the payload a little less nested. Like I would have the menu plugin upload some images. So I actually use the plugin, the Google Cloud Storage plugin.
Nice.
And a plugin for sending emails as well, because we do have newsletter, a contact form as
Yeah,
well
that
here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. I was gonna say, yeah, that transformer plugin is really nice. It's created by one of our community members, Daedalus, and I know like a lot of people kind of, were saying our the data that we churn because of like the new features that Strapi is going to support in the future is a little bit nested, and so that plugin literally simplifies what object you get back in your response, which is pretty awesome. And that's like one thing I love is that our community, if there's no functionality in Strapi, let's say that exists, like someone like Daedalus in his case could create a plugin to share it with the rest of us to be able to benefit from. So that's amazing, and I'm blown away because like I work with Strapi, and so I'm always trying to figure out how could I customize this? How can I customize that? But the fact that for someone who has a business need, they're like, we need to make a website. This is what we need. You could literally use Strapi out of the box without too much customization. And in your case, you were able to find some helpful plugins that help you like meet your goals. That is awesome.
Yeah, and actually, one other particular thing about this project is that I had 2 weeks to develop it.
How many?
2 weeks.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, and I never had any contact with Strapi documentation before, And when I got to know that I would build the project, the kickstart would be the next day, the following day. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And actually, in the first couple of days, I built the whole front end and sort of created a fake API. So I was doing the backend, but just hard coding the content. Because I was like, so first I'm going to build the thing that I know I'm going to be fast, and then I can have the rest of the time to get to the unknown, which was Strapi. And so actually, in 2 days, I pretty much had the whole front end ready.
That blows my mind. That like I just want to stop you for a second because look, I get so many people who like want to be like freelancers, or they want to create projects for client. And like the biggest thing when you're working for yourself or, working for a marketing like agency that creates websites is you want to have a workflow that allows you to create stuff quickly that is, highly customizable and, gives the power to the editors, the content creators to be able to manage their content easily, and I think, this is like, if I was going to highlight what's the biggest benefit of what you're talking about today is how combining like a Remix or Strapi together allows people to build things fast that basically get to the most important part, which is serving your clients' needs. And to me, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to be fast on the front end because, as I said, it was a unknown. So I left a lot of time to Strapi, a lot of time, let's say. But actually, I didn't need much time to Strapi as well. Like, the whole process was smooth,
Wow, that's awesome.
Figure out things as I was going, and I didn't have any hard bugs or any things that slowed me down,
Yeah.
So and after like in the second day, I was feeling comfortable with Strapi API. One other thing I've done is that I found a plugin, and this is not an official plugin, but it's not a plugin actually. It's this thing here, Types for Strapi. Actually, I found three different packages that could do that because I wanted to generate TypeScript types out of my collections. And this one served me pretty good. Actually, I generated the types here. This is just the output of the plugin, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I just used it as a bootstrap, and then I grabbed this code and copy and pasted it to my Remix website.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to customize a lot of Strapi, but if I had my time and if I wanted to go that deep, I felt super comfortable with the Strapi structure here. You kind of it's easy to realize where stuff is now. You can go a lot deep in that.
No, that's awesome, and I'm all about like customizing Strapi. But it's funny because the way I discovered Strapi long time ago, before I even started working at Strapi, I actually was more focused on front end development while like looking to break into the industry. And so I didn't want to spend too much time learning back end, but I wanted to create customer facing websites that were fully functional. And so I literally started to use Strapi right out of the box to provide, data to my front ends. And I like literally fell in love with that. And before we continue, we had like a couple of questions. First one, someone asked, a bunch of LSCMSs are coming up lately. What would be the golden thing to choose Strapi over other options? One thing I would say, just based on everything Gustavo is showing us here, number one, out of the box, it has so much functionality that for like majority of business facing websites, it's a plus. So it's a very fast development. And then the second thing that you also alluded to is this concept of being able to basically allow the user or the owner of the website to modify all their content. Is there any like points that you would add to that? Or
Yeah,
like
flexibility for sure.
flexibility?
And
Yeah.
actually, so I hadn't developed websites like public websites like those for years. I've been building like web apps pretty much, and they're very different. They have different requirements, and so I think that's why Strapi was not under my radar, because I used to do a lot of WordPress freelance development in the past with WordPress. And I kind of wanted to have a tool, a technology that would move me away from WordPress if I was to build this sort of website currently, because you want to have you want to use the current technology, your current tech stack, So I'm glad I got in touch with Strapi, because I would totally choose Strapi over the technologies I knew in the past. I had some contact with some headless CMS, but they were paid, and I could find in Strapi the whole thing, all of the features I needed, all of the features I used to know from the paid headless CMS. And also I can just go into the code and change stuff, hack stuff. I love to do it. I love open source software, so
yeah, that's
this
awesome.
is also a good reason to use it.
Another question we had for your website: did they provide the design for you, or did?
Yeah, it was
Nice.
all done. Yeah,
Nice.
and I also choose Tailwind.
Yeah.
Because it also helped me to build like the front end in a couple of days, because I feel so productive with Tailwind nowadays. So I think it's a great match. Like the whole stack allowed me to be that productive.
No, that is like really, really awesome. And so now that we saw the website that you built, we know that you use Strapi to manage content. Let's a little bit like more talk about why in particular you chose Remix as a framework.
Yeah, so I've been excited about Remix for quite a few months now, and man, I think I'll choose it for pretty much every web app I was to build nowadays. Like I was able, if we go into the code and look for like use state here, use state. There's 3 references to use state. Like
the whole code.
Yeah, like use effect would be like, for analytics, some field stuff, and that's what I love about Remix, like you can just build on the web foundation, like use the web APIs, like the way I've built this loader here, which is also it uses the state of the query string, to open this. So yeah, that's a fun part of it. Actually, in the first few days, I was developing the whole website as if there was no JS, because I used to love progressive enhancement in the past, But as I said, in the last decade, I moved away from progressive enhancement, and Remix sort of brings it back, So I was able to build the thing as I had no JavaScript, like have some states that I'll preserve on the URL, And after that is done, I could just like enhance it. Like, do you see that GitHub like loader on the top
Yep.
of
Yep.
the page? Yeah.
Yep.
Actually wrote about how I created that. You can check that later on dev
Yeah,
too.
definitely share that with us. You could throw it in the chat too, of course.
I
It'll
can
be
share
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
So actually that's not the, yeah, I used to write a little bit on this here. Yeah. This URL. Just throw that on the site.
Nice. Awesome.
Comments here. How they use the chat. I'm just gonna
if you're
send
not
it
able
to
to
you.
throw like the chat, yeah, send it in private
Yeah,
chat to me.
okay.
Perfect, and I'll share it. Awesome.
I'm not very used to StreamYard.
That's okay. Yeah, I shared it. I just threw it. And so before, because I do want to look at the code, specifically Remix, because we know that Strapi out of the box, you got all the functionality you need. But before we jumped into that, just one thing I want to do, like your customer, their prior website was with WordPress, and I know we touched a little bit on it. And then this was basically they wanted to move away from WordPress, so this was a complete new site built with Strapi using Remix. Because you worked with WordPress before and Strapi, and I know they both have their use cases. In terms of, like, for me, like using Strapi and using Remix, you just need to know JavaScript. That to me is like a very big benefit. But from your experience, like, what would you say, like, in terms of the transitioning from WordPress to Strapi, like what your experience been, and like, would you like, how would you recommend for people to do that, like if they wanted to achieve that?
Yeah, that's a tough question because I am a little biased because I love JavaScript. I've been building with React since 2014, and I'll choose that stack over other stacks any day. And I built a career out of WordPress in the past. Like I started with WordPress, so I love WordPress. I have a lot of respect for it, but it's a very actually, I do have a website, the website that I built for my mom way back in the day, like in 2003, and still online. Like it's a 19-year-old website, and it's built in WordPress. But I migrated it to new versions of WordPress over the years, and it's such an old project. Like WordPress is such an old project, and the web development advanced so much that all the new technologies we have nowadays, that it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to use it anymore. And also I'm very good with JavaScript nowadays. And
Yeah.
I've been away from PHP for a long time, so the level of comfort I feel with Strapi, like it was my first contact with Strapi, and I just dropped the folder structure there, and I could like find my way through it, and which I cannot do with WordPress anymore.
Yeah.
Like I completely forgot the whole thing. But the strategy to migrate from one to another, in my case, the project was a greenfield, so it's a lot easier when you do that sort of transition, because there was not much content to bring. But if I was to migrate, really migrate the content, I would probably look for WordPress plugins to translate the contents to JSON, and do the opposite to Strapi, and I'm pretty sure you can do it. Or maybe I'll try to write some scripts to read the WordPress API, consume. But the problem, and it's a little problem I have with WordPress, is it stores a lot of I don't want to say garbage, but it stores a lot of stuff in the database that shouldn't be there. Like sometimes you can have CSS in the database.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's insane.
So it's
That
hard
is
to do
insane,
those sort
actually.
of migrations. So you have to really export that content, clean that content, sanitize the content a little
Yep.
bit, and then import it to Strap, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a good way of doing it. And even though like it's work involved, but at least you'll get it the way you want it before like migrating it to Strapi. But I know like both approaches, that you mentioned are like really good ways to start and go about it. Um,
And there's another, if you allow me.
yeah, of
Actually,
course.
at Season, we've been migrating SPAs, SPAs plus Rails APIs to full stack remix. And this process is being very complex, but it's been nice because we decided to do vertical migration. So we used to migrate page after page. So we started with the authentication flow and then we run the old stack. We run it inside Remix because in Remix you have the resource routes.
Yep.
And you can so anytime we would hit a 404 page in Remix, we would call this file, which is a resource route that's going to try to load the page from the other application and display it on the screen.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a cool like little example.
Yeah, so that's another way to approach migration, but in large systems, like in very old systems.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. So let's jump into the remix code. I'm excited to see. Like I'm telling people, like I fell in love with remix. And it's just the way that they load data to me. It's just like so nice. It's so nice. It's so
yeah,
good.
it is like all the like all of the request response API is just off the hooks. So the way I structured it, it is a monorepo, but I'm not using any turbo repo. I wish I was using it, but
and can you share your screen? I'll add it to the thing.
oh
Just
yeah,
so no worries.
I
No
was
worries. I
sharing
just like no, it's fine. No big deal. That's why we're here.
Okay, so maybe I should make it full screen now. Yeah, and I should probably make it bigger. Is it big enough?
It looks great to me.
The sidebar isn't big enough though, right? I'm not sure how to increase it. Can you guys see the sidebar properly?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Let's just focus on the sidebar first. So it is a monorepo. So basically in CMS folder, I have the whole Strapi website. Not much, pretty much out of the box. I just had to change the config stuff, which we should do, right? And then the website folder is just a remix app. I have some tests, but it's pretty much the remix structure here, right? And okay.
Before we kind of get too far, can you just walk us through like what did you set up for CSS? I know you mentioned Tailwind, and what was the process of setting up Tailwind in Remix for you?
Okay, so I had the screens up front, and every time I have it, I sort of I create the Tailwind configuration. If you just go to Remix and look for Tailwind, there is instructions on how to set up Tailwind in Remix, right? But every time I get the design up front, I'll start with this file, Tailwind config, and then I'll see I'll bring all the colors from the designs to this file, and also the font, typography stuff. I love to use the Tailwind Forms, also the Tailwind Forms plugin, and the typography, which is used on this, pretty much on these screens here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then I also created a few helpers. Oops, this is the generated Tailwind file. Yeah, so this is my CSS. So basically, my build process just points from this file, generates the output, right? And just set up some fonts here. Actually, I think this code I copied from. I learned how to do that on Can't See Dot's website.
Nice.
I was trying to remember his name.
Yeah. We actually
Kent,
try.
yeah,
We're
Kent,
gonna
Kent is
we're gonna
awesome.
have him. We're gonna have him at Strapi. So keep an eye
Yeah,
out.
Kent is
He's
an
gonna come
amazing
tell us
guy.
what
Yeah,
he's another one really excited about Remix, obviously, but
yeah.
but you could feel it.
Even more than I am. So I just set up some foundation, like there is the base of Tailwind, and then I create some stuff for typography, like so I can just use H1 without having to apply any class, but I can choose to apply a H1 class and have the same style. Let's say I want to semantically, I want to have a H2, but visually H1, I would just use this class. And then this is pretty much taken from the designs. So I was just analyzing the typography. Actually, on the designs, it was all the designer did a great job on breaking it up for me, And then there's probably some form stuff. I was trying to actually undo some stuff that Tailwind Forms did for me. So there's probably a better way to do that. And then I do create some components. So from the websites, we did have some button primary, button secondary outlined, and this is sort of creating your own bootstrap,
Yeah.
So this is how I've been approaching Tailwind nowadays. Because when you do have a style guide, we can sort of create this style guide and outline those classes. So it's just easy to
reuse,
make a link look like a button and so on.
Yeah, nice.
And I'm just using the apply method here, but I don't do a lot of apply stuff. I just do some buttons, like this is just the container for the Tailwind typography plugin. And you see there's not much custom classes. There's some animations here. Oh, these animations are awesome. I love them. Didn't show them. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's really neat.
Just models. And actually, we're using also the nested routes for the models here.
Yeah.
So we can load the content in parallel, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is pretty much how I approach Tailwind. And then I try to do as much classes in HTML as I can, like just using Tailwind straight into HTML. I don't like to be switching from the HTML to CSS. That's one of the reasons I love Tailwind. And if you start to play a lot with this file, you kind of go back to that.
You like defeating the purpose of like using Tailwind, But for like small custom things or some stuff like to organize buttons, it, like you had, exactly, like you have here, forms. Makes sense. And my own remix project, I'm doing same. Like I have like a very small CSS for just very few specific things, but majority of the time I'm just doing Tailwind inline. Just because it's so much easier and faster to get stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. Like this. Can you see this skewed square? Behind. So that's what I call the title decoration here. So I don't need to be repeating this whole set of classes in every title. And also, I could do that in a component, but sometimes I just like to drop the one class in a H2, H4.
Yep. No, that's a good example.
So we good with Tailwind?
Yeah, really nice. Thank you for sharing that. So now let's move forward. Let's go.
So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to see.
No,
Actually,
no, but I mean, like, I am, yeah, I just want to get to like the cool stuff that we talked before the stream, because I want to make sure that, like, out of my own curiosity, I'm like, that was a good pattern. Like, I want to copy that. Like, I want to steal it from you and use it, because I was like really excited
oh
for.
yeah, so one important thing, this project is going to be open source soon. So the
Nice.
team is kind of adjusting some stuff for it. So I'll make sure I share when they open source it,
Yeah,
and they
definitely
start
for sure.
contributing to the repo, because we handed off the project, for their own team, because
Yep.
they have an amazing developer there, Cassidy. I'm not sure if you've heard of her. And she's actually she's right here, Cassidy Williams. So she is now taking care of the code and the website. She was not there when I started developing the project, but so yeah, let's talk about the way we do the loaders. Because if you're new to Remix, you probably should be checking the documentation on loaders and actions, because pretty much every page inside the routes folder, every file here is going to be a route. So right now we're at routes portfolio. We're talking about this page right here, right? And the way we structure code at Season, well, we like to do a lot of DDD, design-driven development. And we were sort of trying to find a way to decouple the business logic from the actions and loaders. We actually call action and loaders, we call them controllers, because this is pretty much what they are. If you're familiar to the Rails vocabulary, or the MVC model, we would call actions and loaders the controllers. So we like to keep the loaders, the controllers thing, with very few logic. It just needs to do some authorization, authentication, call one method, and if it's successful, you do something, you redirect or you return data. Otherwise, you redirect or you just throw an error, and then you have the Remix error boundaries to help you. I think we set them on here. Yeah, error boundaries, also under docs. Nothing new here, So, but it's amazing because we can just throw errors. And this is pretty much service and available is pretty much a response 503. Right?
Yep.
So the whole magic happens here, because pretty much all of our loaders are as small as this one. Sometimes it has like 5 lines of code. But when you see the Remix projects, the standard way to build it, the loaders and the actions, they get loaded pretty quickly, with a lot of business logic, and it's pretty hard to test them. And so we created this package. It's called Remix Domains. I can show you here, Remix Domains. We created it at Season. And it gives you building blocks to make those domain functions, as we call them. So let's see, in this page, in the portfolio, we're actually loading stuff from 3 different API routes, from 3 different sources in Strapi.
Yep.
We need to load the portfolio items, the content for the page, like this content here.
Yeah.
And also some sample testimonials, which are here. So it's 3 different APIs, 3 different endpoints actually, and we build each domain function in their own domain folder. So we have the components, the domain, our own little framework with some helpers here, the routes, and then we build everything in the domains folder. So let's say
now before we get too far, just like maybe some people not too familiar with Remix, so all of the stuff that's in the loader function and all of these additional files that you created, they're all run on the back end server side.
Yeah. server side. Yeah, their backend development. It's pretty fun because if you're a front-end developer and you start developing with Remix, suddenly you realize you are a full-stack developer. Like, oops!
It's like, how did I get
did
here?
it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, Remix is awesome. I really love it.
It's pretty hard to it's actually it's fun because every time I'm presenting code or I'm pairing with some peer, and then I just tell, did you realize we're doing backend development right now? And every single time is a surprise, And yeah, we are in Node. Actually, you can see the file name is .server. It's using .server. So all of this code is not going to end up at the browser. That's why the pages are loading so fast as well. So, and that stands for both actions and loaders, right? So let's see, the get portfolio function. I'm using the make domain function from Remix Domains. And the way it works is we use Zod parsers. Do you know Zod?
I'm not too familiar with Zod, but
introduce Zod. Yeah, so nice. Zod is a way to parse data. So the way it works, you create those schemas like you're going to say, so I have an object with a name string, okay? And then you can parse some data. Let's say you get the data from the API, and you want it to be with this format. You want it to be an object with a name string, but you're not sure it's going to be that. And even TypeScript is not sure of that. So when you parse it like that, if it's not an object with name string, it's going to throw an error, and which is cool because in Remix you can throw errors and then you have the error boundaries, right? But you can also safe parse, and this is going to be a result, and this result can be a success, true or false. And if it is a success, then you can that result.data. You see, it's auto-completing. Actually, that's Copilot, but TypeScript knows that data is going to be an object with name string. So that's a quick introduction to Zod. There's a lot to talk about Zod. I love it. We've been using Zod for pretty much everything at Seasoned. You should definitely check it out. And also, the creator of Zod, Colin, which was at the RemixConf, and I got to meet him. He's an amazing guy. He helped Remix to have like the best type inference among all the current frameworks.
Nice.
So from the back end to the front, and it was an amazing improvement in the developer experience of Remix. So the way we do the main function, it's going to receive an input. It can receive an input or maybe nothing. But let's say get client, it's going to receive an object with slug, and it cannot be empty. So if this is successful, we're going to get to this function, which is our domain function, which is the body of our domain function. But we know it will never even get here if the parsing fails, right? So if that happens, that's where we're going to throw service unavailable here. And of course, we can pick, we can check the error to see if which sort of message we're going to show. Because with Remix domains, you have the errors, input errors, or environment errors.
Oh, that's awesome.
If we've given the wrong input, that's where the message is going to be. If anything throws within the domain function, it's going to be in errors, and we also have the environment. I'm not going to get deep into this stuff. You can check Remix Domains in GitHub. It's open source.
Yeah, check out that package for sure.
Check it out. It's awesome. We're using it. We created it.
No, it's good. No, I like I like it
Oh,
because
it
it allows you
dies.
to simplify your loader or the way it looks. A quick question I have for your error handling: are you using like the root way to capture the errors, the error boundary, or do you have it root specific? I mean, like, is it how do you guys going about that?
Error boundaries.
Just yeah, but okay, cool.
So yeah, any error that is thrown in the controller is going to be captured by the error boundary. Okay, but any error thrown within our domain functions is going to be taken care by Remix domains. So we can just throw errors here. We don't need to do stuff like if there is a result, then you do that. Otherwise, no. We don't have no's, which is another benefit of using like Remix domains. So we can only work with the success, the happy path,
Yeah.
and just throw errors. And we could actually throw an input error here and derive that from Remix domains. So it would show on the result dot input error, right? And so right here we're doing a fetch on the Strapi API. That's an abstraction I can talk about later. We're pretty much just using the Strapi API. Just check out Strapi docs. We're fetching the clients, and then if there is no data, we just throw an error. Otherwise, we return the client, and then we do some parsing here to transform the markdown to HTML, right?
Yeah, I was going to quickly say people love what you talk about, the like remix domain way to resolve unhappy paths, throwing without optionals. Looks a lot like functional paradigm. Nice work.
Exactly. Yeah, we're super biased towards functional programming.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and so the best thing about Remix domains, in my opinion, is that we can actually compose stuff here. So let's say I want to get the homepage data here. So we already have some type errors here, because actually right now I'm doing a composition, and this new get data method is going to be another domain function. So you compose domain functions and you have the domain functions. For the functional programmers out there, this is a monad. And so what it does, it's going to run all of this requests in parallel using promise.all. And it's going to give you type safety in the view. So now we have the homepage data here. That's why it was complaining. And now we can just use, now we can just use homepage banner, let's say, and you can do like all sorts of crazy compositions, like map the result of one composition to be something else. Let me just show you quickly. Map from Remix domains, and then you have data here, and then you can just return something else. So data here, it's already typed. So we know we have, let's say, customers. It's going to be data.clients, and then, now it's customers.
Wow, that's awesome.
So a lot of composition. We're very excited about Remix domains. Check it out. I don't want to go too nerdy here. Actually, I'm not sure if you want me to keep going on Remix domain. I can talk about it all day, but we can cover more stuff as well.
Yeah, let's kind of move on a little bit. And also, because I had a question, somebody just wanted to know: did you write any tests for the front end?
Yeah, we're using. So it's pretty hard to test. This one weakness about Remix, I would say it's a weakness about Remix nowadays. It's pretty hard to test components in Remix, because every time you use one of the Remix components, it's pretty hard to deal with the mocks and stuff in Jest. So the way we've been approaching tests, we are testing domain functions, because we can just test like once you give this input to this function, you should get this output. It's pretty easy to test domain functions, and that's another reason we use Remix domains is for testing, because it's super easy to test domain functions. And then we do some controller testing as well. Then we know we only, in controllers, we only get a request and we return a response. So we only need to test. If I give this request with this data, do I get a 200 response or a 404?
Yep.
That sort of test. And then for the views, for the components, I'm not going to call them views here, we do end-to-end tests. We use Playwright pretty much, and which is amazing. I've been using Playwright for quite a few months right now, and I love it. It's pretty straightforward, and sometimes it's even cheaper to write end-to-end tests than writing integration tests. It's so easy to write them because you can actually generate the tests. The VS Code extension for Playwright is amazing because they're built by the same company, right? And you can actually just launch a web page, start playing with the web page, and then when you quit the web page, you're going to have the whole test ready. You just need to refactor it a little bit. So yeah, been using Playwright pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Any other questions? I know we're heading to the end of the.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, do you have a hard stop, or like what's your time availability at the moment?
I can add 15 minutes.
15 minutes? Yeah, let's do that. So yeah, that's awesome. And I shared the NPM package for Remix domains for people to check out. Obviously, great place to start with Remix is in their documentation, and I feel Strapi and Remix like work so well together that I definitely suggest people to check it out and try it. I guess one thing that I wanted to touch base, we looked at the code. Talk about where did you deploy your application? What is the process? And then let's after that also quickly talk about like how you handle caching. Okay. Those are the last 2 points I wanted to make sure we touch on today.
Sure. So when I went to the Strapi documentation the first time, I realized that there were quite a few suggestions on where to deploy. It can be deployed pretty much anywhere that runs Node, right? But I sort of felt that there was a highlight on Heroku deployment, and we're very experienced with Heroku, so it was a no-brainer for us, So it's deployed to Heroku. With the time we had, we couldn't create a lot of stuff, but it's been an amazing experience because with the caching strategies we've done in Remix. We don't hit the API that much. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But for the front end, for the Remix, we've been using Netlify for a few years at Seasoned, but I wanted to try something else. So I actually started with Cloudflare. I would deploy to Cloudflare workers, but on the second day of development, I reached the limit of the free tier, and it was too soon in the project, and I didn't want to lose my time like setting up an account. So I was like, let's see how it works in Vercel, because I had some personal experience with Vercel, an amazing experience, and then I tried Vercel, and everything worked so smoothly. I love Vercel support, and just deploying Remix to Vercel just feels good, because they've been sort of competing publicly, but actually their technologies are a great match. And also wanted to seize the opportunity of deploying to Vercel to use their edge functions to try to do some caching
Nice.
to improve the performance, because I wanted to highlight the benefits of Remix and the server-side rendering. There's an amazing talk from Ryan Florence on their official channel, the Remix official channel, about caching strategies. He's a great lecturer, and I was very inspired by that talk, and I wanted to try to cache on the edge, So I think I should just show some code again. So pretty much all of our pages, they're exporting headers, and I'm just using this abstraction I created, cache headers, which is going to set a header to the response. And if you're new to this stuff, just go and check Ryan Florence's talk. It's an amazing talk. He really goes deep into this single line of header. It can create amazing stuff, and it feels like SSEG, because what it does pretty much, it's caching stuff on the client browser, it's caching on the CDN, and then we're using this stale white revalidate, which what it does, like the combination of all of those headers, is that when you go to the website, to the actual website, OSS Capital, and you do a fresh refresh, yeah, just a refresh, you can see on the network tab for the OSS Capital document that it just hit the cache. So what it means is that the CDN just sent you the cached HTML to you. So that's why it's so fast. You see I have the disabled cache, and then if I just refresh it here, it's super fast, right? Because it's hitting the cache. But then you see it's age 29 here. Next time I load it, it's been 38 seconds. So after 30 seconds, this page is stale, which means I got a cached page, but it's stale. So, but because I got the stale page, the next person to come to this website is gonna get the fresh page, because when I hit the server and ask for the cached version, and the server realizes it's stale, it sends me the cached version of the website, but it starts building the next version, the fresh version of that endpoint, and it's going to send it to the next person. So that's pretty much how it works. It's super fast. You can see like how it feels to go around this project, and if you also check like the stats for the website, you're going to see like all of the requests are going in parallel, which is a highlight of Remix. All credit to those guys, and it's an amazing experience. Like we needed we didn't need any more than that, So that's good, because we don't have to have a lot of resources on Heroku, because the API is going to be hit in Heroku every 30 seconds for every page. So it's not like it's going to receive like 1,000 requests in a second,
Yeah.
Every 30 seconds it's gonna be called. So I think it's a great match, Heroku and Vercel as well.
Yeah, no, this has been great. This is really awesome. I really love what you've done. Thank you, by the way, for sharing this. I think it's great for people to see what could be done when you combine like two awesome technologies, like using Remix and Strapi. And again, I was like amazed when you said how out of, like, even though I work with Strapi, I was still like blown away when you said you use Strapi just out of the box to get majority of functionality that you needed, and that majority of your work was done mostly on the front end. And the fact that you had very like small like development window to go from start to finish for this project, and to kind of choose these two technologies to help you do it like fairly quickly and efficiently. I think that's amazing. So to sum up, what was like your experience, just building this overall project? And I mean, I think I know the answer, but you would highly recommend people try out Remix and Strapi for sure. But just to sum up, what do you like about, the tech stack, like, and go from there.
The simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Like, I know maybe I went too deep on like nerd stuff,
It's
but
good. That's good.
when you do all those stuff with SPAs, there is going to be a lot of code that I didn't have to write, and this marriage between Remix and Strapi here was just perfect, because Remix builds has the best bridge between the front and the server. The client has a server, but it doesn't give you all of the features of a backend framework. So if you want to go like full stack in Remix, you're gonna have to bring a lot of technologies, like to send emails, to like ORMs, like to interact with database and stuff. And it gets really complex as well, because then you are sort of rebuilding Rails in our case, But then for this sort of website, for a content website, you have an API as good as Strapi, which is fast, which uses cutting edge technologies, and gives you both REST and GraphQL APIs. You can just choose out of the box GraphQL. It's not my case. I went with REST because I have a lot more experience with it, and I think Remix kind of takes care of reducing the payload. GraphQL, I think it's overkill for this case with Remix. And so Strapi just gives you this amazing backend that you can actually hack into, if you feel experienced. And if you don't feel like that, you just go to the dashboard and build stuff, with the amazing UI. So it's pretty straightforward. I started just creating content and stuff in the UI, in the dashboard. And by the end of the project, I was doing more coding on Strapi, because you can actually create the collections and the types on the code, but you can also do that on the UI, right?
Yeah. So
I'll just go to the UI, do it fast, and then go to the code and just check it out, refactor. So yeah, I think it's a great marriage. I'll definitely use it for this sort of project. It's not the sort of project that I'm used to these days, but it was an amazing experience to get in touch with it again.
Yeah, it's awesome. And just last question, because I'm curious about it. Someone says, sorry if you're not annoying, by the way, but I'm not sure if I had the answer to hear about best approach to deploying Strapi with good scalability in the midterms. Like, so were you thinking about that for this particular project when you deployed Strapi to Heroku, or?
Yeah, actually, of course, we need to have the API always ready, right? And if you use Heroku free tier, which you cannot do anymore because they're removing the free tier, that's going to be a problem. But if you just use like the first paid version of the Heroku deployment, like a pro version of Postgres, you're going to have a lot of availability. And then you just need to pay a little more if you be hitting the API like hundreds, thousands of times per second, But when you do this sort of caching on the edge with like Vercel, let's say, and then you would only hit the API like every 30 seconds for every page, you're never going to explode the API, it would be like a corner case to explore the API. So you don't have to think much about scalability of the API in that
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, no,
That's what I love, not having
yeah,
to think about
that
stuff.
makes sense. Yeah. And finally, I guess was gonna say, yeah, people just loving everything like you shared. They're saying like what you did was extremely complex. For any headless CMS, Strapi, your visual content structure builder makes it so much faster and easier. Amazing that you got it so fast. And I think like it's a really good like testament. And to be honest, like even though I work for Strapi and everybody has their own bias, but what I would say, whatever project you're building, definitely take into account what the requirement is and pick something that is the best use case for it. And to be honest, it doesn't have to be Strapi, but we wanted to come on and share kind of like what is possible. And for me, like I said, I mean, once I met you for the first time and you shared with us kind of like the way you handled stuff in Remix, I instantly fell in love with Remix. And so like currently I literally, like for the type of use cases that I do, like I go between Next.js and Remix, and there's a lot of stuff that Remix does that I really like better. And for my use case, being able to create stuff quickly and get it to the end user with the least amount of work is important. And to your point that you mentioned, Remix is a full stack, framework. And if you can do a lot of stuff in Remix, but the benefit, like you said, of using something like Strapi, you're already you're leveraging what's already there and created. And so for me, also not being the best backend developer, like putting Remix and Strapi together was like a perfect match. So before we go, is there anything else that you want to add? And also, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you and what your company does?
It's been a pleasure to be here. Just feel honored to be, just got this project, like use this technology and got in touch with it, loved it. And then you get to know the people and it's amazing. This is what it's all about, like open source, you connect to people. And where you can find me on Twitter. I am Gustavo Guichard. I'm just gonna send you, Paul, because I'm not sure how to do it. So
no problem.
Handle Gustavo Guichard on Twitter, also on dev.to, as you've probably seen the other post I wrote. You can get in touch with Season. The website is Season.
Season.cc. I'll put it in the link.cc. Yep, I'll throw that on the link. I'll also add all the stuff to the description.
I'm pretty much on Twitter. I don't have Instagram, Facebook.
It's funny because I used to never use Twitter, but then I'm like, man, that's where all the developers are. And so I have to use Twitter for the power of good, But man, thank you so much for this amazing presentation, coming on, speaking with us. It was a lot of fun, and we definitely keep us posted on all the cool things you're building. And with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next time. And everybody have a great day, great evening, or great night, wherever you are. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. To everyone. Yeah. Bye. Cheers.
Cheers.